How's it going, guys? This is Ethan with Backwards Hat Traditional Lifestyle, and today I'm doing a cold shot challenge that was put out by the guys over at the Broken Arrow podcast. And the reason I'm putting this in a more long form and putting it over on the YouTube channel as well as Instagram is there's a lot of lessons to be learned from a shot like this. And what the shot is it's about 18 yards at this doe down here, and I have a branch that is obscuring the vitals that's halfway in between me and the target. And you can really use this as a teaching lesson, which is what I'm doing, that regardless of whether you shoot a compound or whether you shoot competition or whether you shoot just realistic shots like this for hunting because you're a bow hunter, there's something to be learned from everybody. I am going to use a method that I learned a while back from Bill Winke, who is a very famous whitetail bow hunter, someone that I definitely look up to in the industry, and a method that he uses shooting a compound. And let's say it's a 40-yard shot at a deer, and you put your 40-yard pin right on those vitals, and that limb is halfway in between you and that deer, which would be 20 yards. And with your 40-yard pin on that deer's vitals, you look up and your 20-yard pin is right on that limb. You're going to hit the limb. So that's a way to know whether you're going to clear it or not, whether you're going to have to try to shoot over it, under it, or just wait for a totally different shot. Now, how you can transition that same shot over into traditional. If you know your gaps, now the guys that shoot instinctive, don't freak out. If you know your gap of your arrow, if you know the flight of your arrow and where your tip of your arrow is and the rise and arc of your arrow in correlation to different ranges, you can use it the same way as a sight pin. So this is an 18-yard shot. Halfway, half of 18 is 9 yards. I would safely say that that limb's about 9 or 10 yards away. If I hold where I think that I'm going to need to hold on that deer to make that 18-yard shot, and with my setup anywhere between about 13 to 22 yards, my gap is pretty well flat. It's exactly the same. If I look at that limb, where that limb is in between me and it, and my arrow is about where that what my 10-yard gap would be below that limb, good chance I'm going to smoke that limb. But I know, based off the flight of my arrow and my setup, that, and where my gaps are, that at 9 yards, 10 yards away, which is what that limb is, covering the vitals of that deer, I can skate that arrow right over top of that limb and hit the vitals, even with it completely blocking them. So I'm going to go ahead and take the shot, and hopefully after all this I make it. And there's plenty of wind to complicate it today as well, and I'm shooting from the knees. Right in the vitals. So again, I would not known if I was going to make that shot for sure unless I knew the trajectory of my arrow, what my arrow does at different ranges. So teaching points made. That deer is dead even at 18 yards from the knees with a limb right in front of the vitals. You can know how to do this too. So get out, map the flight of your arrow using the gap system, figure out what your arrow is doing at different ranges, and you can know for a fact all day long in the field whether or not you're going to be able to do this. So anyway, guys, get outside, shoot straight, and I'll catch you next time.